Hey everybody, it's me, Tammy B, and I am coming to you today with a review for Married to Medicine. This is season 3, episode 9. So, first of all, I want to say, yes, I am wearing the same thing I wore yesterday. You know what? I was going to put on a sweater, but it's hot, so I'm not going to put it on. And I figure if I'm going to start doing reviews, I better just keep it real. So, most of the time, whatever I wear on Sunday, I usually wear on Monday. I wear different bra and panties, but if it don't get dirty, I wear it because I don't see the same people on Sunday that I see on Monday. So hey, I was gonna just try to floss like, oh, I just did all the 2 reviews yesterday and the 2 reviews today with the same shirt. But hey, let's just go ahead and keep it real. And yes, I have on the same shirt or a whole outfit. Okay, so Married to Medicine, basically it starts off with a little snippet of each woman's life. So that's pretty cool. We got to see Dr. Jackie explaining she just had surgery, or she just performed surgery, of course, and her schedule for today. We got to see Toya and Eugene in bed. Now, it kind of made it seem like, oh, they woke up and that's what they doing, little paperwork in bed. But Toya had on a full face of makeup, and she did have on a scarf, but her makeup was too flawless for it to be just waking up like that. Dr. Heavenly, it kind of just showed her getting her what she's done around with her practices and stuff, and and things like that. Lisa showed her and her son and her daughter in the kitchen, kind of doing a few things. So it was I kind of like the little snippet that they do now where they show. Let me take off my glasses. Where it shows what they do in their day in and day out. So Toya and the kids were making a cake. It's her husband's birthday, so it showed her and her kids in the kitchen making a cake. And I don't know if I was the only one nervous, but the kids were, I think they like 2 and 4, but they were on top of the marble counter. I was just like, gosh, please don't let them fall. Like, I would have been too nervous with them sitting up there, but they seem to be able to get up and down pretty sturdy. But I know when I first saw them up there, I was just like, oh my gosh, but So then Toya and Dr. Heavenly go to Dr. Heavenly's meeting with her app people. So that was cool that she asked Toya to come along, and Toya kind of took a jab like, oh, I didn't know you were serious. And Dr. Heavenly was like, yeah, I'm serious about everything. And Dr. Heavenly, like, okay, I know a lot of people don't like Dr. Heavenly, but I like Dr. Heavenly. And I know she be throwing a lot of shade in the confessionals, but I think she's just playing the game. I think she knows, like, hey, you just throw a little shade. I just hope it don't get her in trouble in the long run, as in, like, after all of them watch it and say all the stuff she said and they just get mad at her. But I really think she just kind of be joking around. Like, there's some truth to every joke, even when it's, like, shade or a jab. So I really kind of think she just be kind of, just throwing a little shade for fun. I really don't think she's that evil, but that's my personal opinion. She said something like, oh, she's a relationship expert, so she could help people get like her and her husband. And she said, and like Lisa and her husband, and kind of did her eyebrow. So, Lisa and her husband seem to have all these marital issues. So that was clearly shade. What else did she say? Oh, she said, oh, she can afford her app. She don't need funding or investors like Quad did for her puppy business. So that was a little another shade. And then I'm trying to think what else she said that was a little shady. Oh, it came up about Toya not going to LA, and she was like, "Why y'all didn't invite Toya to LA? She ain't got nothing to do." And I guess because she's a single mom, even though not single mom, but stay-at-home mom, and we all know stay-at-home moms got a lot to do. But so she was just throwing a little shade in her confessionals, but that was kind of funny. So her little app seemed cool. She wants the people to talk before they see a picture, which is a cool marketing idea. It makes it different from all dating sites, because any website, everybody got a profile pic, so you kind of see if you want to talk to somebody based off the profile pic. But she wants to set up an app where you talk first before you see each other. So that's pretty nice, because sometimes you look at somebody, you be like, oh, I'm not interested in them, but you'll have a conversation. You think, oh, this is a nice person, and then you get to meet them. So hopefully the looks don't contradict the conversation too much. So that was pretty cool. Toya made this one comment, like she came along because, oh, she used to be a master of singleness. And I'm like, what is a master of singleness? Does that mean you were single for a long time or what? I don't know why, but the only thing I could think of what she meant by master of singleness, to me, that was like code word for whore. Former whore. But hey, hopefully not. So Dr. Heavenly told her husband about the app, and he's a little leery. He was just like, "Oh, you really want to do it or whatever?" And she was like, "Yeah," or whatever. And he thinks he's doing too much. And she made a comment. She was getting a little frustrated about it, that she could not believe that her husband was not supporting her, considering she supported him all these years. And she made a comment that she has been submissive for nothing all of this time. But so that was a little bit harsh. I hope their marriage doesn't break apart just because all of this foolishness. Because honestly, in the beginning, Heavenly was just known as, she was a dentist even from jump, but aside from her being a dentist, she calls her husband daddy. She kind of cooks, clean, does all the traditional marriage duties. And I think she got thrown a lot of shade or a lot of criticism for her being so old school or whatever. So I think this season she's trying to come back as, oh, I own a lot of dentist practices. Oh, I do apps. I'm a relationship expert. So I honestly think that Heavenly was just listening to all the comments and all the media about her being so submissive, and now she's trying to do all this stuff to prove that she's just as career oriented as maybe Lisa Nicole or Dr. Heaven or Dr. Jackie. But I hope she finds a balance. Her and her husband find a balance on, what's too much and what's not enough. So we'll see what happens there. So Toya and Quad goes over to visit Toya, and they just sit down and talk about why Quad did not invite Toya to LA but invited her friend. And Quad expressed that she felt a little bit upset, or that felt like Toya was automatically on Lisa's side, because the first thing that Toya asked Quad was, "What did you do?" Now, one thing I'll have to give it to Toya is, like, she didn't front. Like, usually when your friend is telling you a story, you be like, okay, well, what's the other side? But you don't say it. So I think it's cool that Toya was like, okay, well, what did you do? Like, okay, you told me your side, but tell me the other side too. Because everybody knows nobody throws water for no reason. So you can't say, oh, somebody threw water at me. I got a gash in my face. I'm at the police station, and da 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 da. Come on now, you can't just be walking down the street and somebody just throws a glass of water at you, and then So I think it's okay that she asks, what did she do? But and and Toya told her, look, the last time I saw both you and Lisa, you said, oh, I'm coming for Lisa, and oh, I'm gonna get a background check on you too, and I'm gonna expose everybody. And they showed the clip of Quad saying that. So, to me, I'm glad Toya just kept it real, and admitted that she asked, what did you do, and explained why she said it. And they were drinking wine. They had some huge wine glasses. I was like, geez. But I mean, I got a wine glass that's pretty big too, but I think, man, theirs was even bigger than that. So I was like, all right, you might as well just have the bottle and drink out the bottle, as big as those glasses were. So as I mentioned, it is Eugene's birthday, Toya's husband. So they had a little party at this sports bar, and Dr. Heavenly outside, she gonna say, oh, this is in the hood. I'm glad you here, telling her husband. I'm like, girl, you from the hood. I mean, a lot of us are from the hood. So then Jill and her husband come, and they notice Dr. Heavenly's car, and her husband was like, oh, isn't that Dr. Heavenly's car? It's a Bentley. And Jill gonna say, yeah, but I don't think it's a real Bentley. I think it's a Chrysler with a Bentley sticker. I was like, ooh, that's messed up. And then Dr. Heavenly had the $1 air freshener in her Bentley, and Jill's husband said that, like, what's that hanging from her rearview mirror? And she was like, air freshener. And the doctor was like, in a Bentley? But what, you're not supposed to put air freshener in a Bentley? Or is there like $2 air freshener, or 20 million, or I don't know what, $20 air freshener instead of the dollar air freshener? Because hey, I mean, you need air freshener sometimes, so hey. But whatever. I don't know. Maybe if you buying a Bentley, you have enough to get it cleaned every week or every other day, so you don't need air freshener. But I don't know. But I will have to admit, the air freshener did look kind of silly in that rearview mirror. So The party seemed cool. There was this scene where Dr. Heavenly and Jill, they were all sitting together with both of their husbands, and the bar had those high bar stools, and it's hard for me to sit up there too. Like I usually put my legs on the side and put my feet on the, stool too. But Dr. Heavenly had on this dress, and she was just sitting so. She always talked about being a Southern belle or whatever, but yeah, she was sitting with her legs a little cocked open on that bar stool. But hey, so Dr. Heavenly and her husband, and then Toya and Jill's husband, they were kind of talking, and then the whole strip club thing came out. And Dr. Heavenly made a comment about a lot of strippers being prostitutes. And Jill and her husband just was not for that. They said it's not true. We shouldn't stereotype. Prostitute and stripper are not interchangeable. And so they ended up kind of getting into it. And then Jill's husband excused himself because he thought that the conversation was getting foolish and ridiculous. Now, okay, maybe it's a difference between, types of, well, clearly there's a difference between types of strip club. Maybe the urban strip clubs are more common to have prostitutes than maybe the strip clubs that Jill and her husband go to. But honestly, even in my neighborhood, like it's known the male and the women strip clubs, yeah, like they be having sex. Like why people even be saying boom boom room in the first place? It's a stereotype. It's something that comes along with that lifestyle. And yes, it's illegal. And no, every single stripper is not a prostitute. But even Heavenly said that not every single one, but it's really common for prostitutes to be, for strippers to be prostitutes. And I don't want to like be too controversial, so I'm not even gonna give a percentage, but I'm just saying clearly the strip clubs that Heavenly know, and even the strip clubs that I know, like prostitution happens in those clubs. So I understood Dr. Heavenly's side, but I do understand Jill and her husband's side to say that you can't say automatically just because you're a stripper, you're automatically a prostitute. I mean, because I know one stripper, and I don't think she was a prostitute. um. Okay, so Toya is going around trying to get everybody drunk because her and her husband, he has his own business of Nomad where doctors go around and make house calls. So Toya wants to be a part of that to make more money. So she wants Nomad to offer vitamin infusions, and that's when you get just vitamins directly through the IV, and it is supposed to refresh you and keep you rejuvenated and give you that extra umph. So her plan is to get everybody drunk, so the next day she can go around offering vitamin infusions. So she walking around with Patron and Ciroc, saying, "Oh, fill your glass up, fill your glass up." Somebody was even leaving it. She was like, "You wanted to go drink?" I was like, "That was bad. You can't, that's illegal to be drinking it driving." So to offer somebody to go drink, I was like, all right, girl, I know you pushing your stuff, but don't get into illegal affairs just trying to get some money the next day. But she was funny. And that was kind of cute. Now the only thing that I didn't like what Toya did at the party was, so Quad's husband came. So Quad did not come to the party because she knew Jill was going to be there, and Jill and Quad got into an altercation. I mean, no, Quad and Lisa, and so they have their whole little issue going on. So Quad already told Toya she wasn't coming. That's actually why she went to her house that other day when they were drinking the wine to bring Dr. Eugene his gift. But her husband came, and that's because the men are all friends and they don't like their wives to fight. Like even Dr. Simone husband and Toya husband was like both there talking about they glad they got their wives to sit down, even though their sit down wasn't really a good conclusion. But so even though Quad did not come, her husband came, which was really nice to show his support to his friend and just the show period. So Toya mentioned the dating app to Quad's husband. And what is Quad's husband name? Quad's husband is Dr. G. I forgot what the G stand for, but Quad's husband is Dr. G. So Toya gonna say, "Oh, do you want us to put you on a dating app? We gonna have a section for men who want kids immediately." And I'm like, first of all, that's too personal for a nightclub conversation. Like, because Dr. G wants kids and Quad wants to wait a little bit. So number one, you're bringing up a personal matter, but number two, you're asking a married man to get on a dating app, like from somebody who's supposed to be your friend, from somebody who was just at your house yesterday drinking huge wine out of huge glasses. Like, that wasn't cool. So, but nobody made a big deal out of it. They kind of just laughed it off and brushed over it. So we'll see if Quad hears about that or says something about that. So I think the main part was Dr. Simone's event. So earlier when they were showing everybody's individual lives or whatever, Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Simone were Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Simone, right, were in a car together going to pick up their children, and I guess their children go to the same school, which is cool. So this is like the second time they showed Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Simone going to pick up the kids. Um, so Dr. Simone's son plays basketball, and Dr. Simone came up with an idea that all of the children should play all of the women, the Married to Medicine women, in a basketball game. And so I'm assuming he's like in elementary, maybe junior high. So it's like elementary school boys, maybe like fifth graders or sixth graders or something like that, and playing against the older women. So it's kind of fun. That would be fun. Dr. Heavenly was like, "Oh, they gonna beat us." So anyway, at this bar party, Dr. Simone tells everyone about the event and invites them. So Lisa jumps in and was like, I don't know if I'll play, but I can be the cheerleader. Or I want to be head of the cheerleading squad or something like that. And Simone was like, look, you're not invited. And yes, that was a little bit of shade. Like, if you wasn't going to invite her, maybe you shouldn't have brought it up in front of the group. But at the same time, she's going to find out about it anyway. So why sneak and hide about not inviting her, you know? So I kind of understand where Dr. Simone was coming from. She was like, look, you and Quad are in a fight. I already invited Quad. I don't want any drama, you know, so you're not invited. So everybody was kind of on both sides of the fence. Some people felt that it was shady for Dr. Simone to do that, and some people, well, no one really, I can't think of no one who actually said that it was okay. But Dr. Heavenly was very vocal about it and was like, that's messed up to not invite one over the other. Maybe people feel like, hey, she should invite them both, and whoever come. If they both come, then they're going to have to deal with each other. But if they both decide not to come based on the fact that, you know, one of them is there, then, but see, that's bad because Simone, because then she'll be two people short. So I understand her kind of just picking one from jump. So, you know what I'm saying? So, and she said she's known Quad longer, and you know, it's just that. So the only thing Dr. Simone kind of stormed off, you know, after the argument got heated, and because people were pointing out, because Dr. Simone said something like, you know, I'm just not cool with any physical altercation. Because at the end of the day, Lisa threw the glass first at Quad, right? So Dr. Simone was saying, like, look, I'm not really taking sides, but you threw something at her. So, and then she retaliated. So, you know, I just don't think it's okay. And then they start showing flashbacks of Dr. Simone getting out of control. But see, Dr. Simone got a loud mouth. I don't think she'll ever fight unless somebody hit her first. And that's what she was trying to explain. Yes, I may get loud. Yes, I may cuss. I may fuss. But I'm a doctor. I'm never gonna hit anybody. I'm never gonna get into a physical altercation. So yeah, show clips of her standing up, pointing her finger, getting in faces, but it did not show her fight. I mean, she doesn't. She hasn't fought. So, you know, I understand what she was coming from. Like, yeah, I may get an attitude, but I will never fight. But Dr. Heavenly was kind of looking at it like, you know, when you get in somebody's face, you don't know what the other person is going to do. So, although your arguments haven't led to a physical altercation, it's very highly, or it's very likely that you getting in somebody's face or cussing and fussing at somebody will end up in a fight like Quad and Lisa did. So, Dr. Simone just wasn't here for it. She was just like, look, at the end of the day, this is my event, this is my basketball game, and I'm inviting Quad and not Lisa, and that's it. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll see how the event goes. Um, it showed a little bit of preview of next week, and Lisa Nicole was explaining to her son why she's not invited. So that was kind of stupid to me. Like, I could understand you telling your husband, but to explain to your son, well, mommy's not invited to Dr. Simone's event because da 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 da. I'm like, girl, I can understand you being upset, but don't talk to a kid about it. Talk to either your husband or another one of the ladies. But I mean, her husband was there, but it seemed like she was explaining it to the son more than the husband. Um, and let's see. So it looks like it's gonna be good. I guess main thing is gonna be this basketball event. So we'll see how that turns out. And then there was this one last part where Quad is looked like she's at a fashion show, and some guy comes up to her and was like, "Hey, I heard you and Lisa Nicole is at it." And Quad was like, "You know, I'm not even trying to discuss that right now." And he was like, "Well, I don't know about all of that, but all I know is instead of Lisa Nicole worrying about what's going on with you, she needs to worry about why her husband is sleeping with me. And it was like boom, it was like dun 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 dun. So this is gonna be, I don't even want to say quite interesting because honestly, I I don't know. Like, did they find this guy out of nowhere and he just happened to be supposed allegedly sleeping with Lisa Nicole's husband? So this is gonna be kind of crazy. At least Quad didn't seem entertained or didn't seem too excited about that news. It was just like she just had a blank look on her face. And so we'll see what happens with that. And the only thing I don't like about that is because, man, Lisa Nicole and her husband, it seemed like they've been in it since day one. They introduced themselves with stories about Darren cheating. Then just a couple of weeks ago, the stripper was telling Lisa Nicole that her husband come there all the time. And so boom, now we got some man saying that he knows him on the low. So that's introducing a whole different element to, you know, not only supposedly are you allegedly cheating, and now you're allegedly cheating with men and women, and now you're allegedly doing currently. Like, we know you cheated in the past, but now you're doing it like now. So I feel sorry for Lisa Nicole in that regards. To everybody seem to be attacking her marriage or pointing out little holes when it comes to her husband. Um, so we'll see. The only other thing I can think of that happened with Lisa Nicole was she was doing something with her kids, and her daughter was saying that she wanted to start a doll line, and then her son was making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which turned out to be peanut butter and chocolate since he don't eat peanut butter. And I was just like, ugh. But he did a good job. I'm like, it was all toasted and he had fruit on the side. I think he only like 9 or 10 years old. I was like, you better go ahead and make a gourmet peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So that's it, you guys. So that was Married to Medicine, and we'll see what happens from here. All right, bye.